One of the main separating factors between the very good and the truly great is having the right mindset when it matters. If you find yourself losing matches or sets every so often that you don't believe you should lose, there are two very likely reasons. The first possible reason is that you are simply out of practice and you've lost some technical consistency. The more likely reason, however, is that you simply had the wrong mindset going into your match. Any player can beat any other player. The most important factor in this is your mindset. Yes, what I'm saying is that a random player of no significant skill can beat a player like PC Chris, depending solely on the mindset of the two players. Before you start to write this off immediately, let me ask you something. Who is the best player that you know? Have you ever seen this player lose to somebody he is clearly better than? And no, I'm not referring to in a tournament set, I'm referring to any single match. Of course you have. Now think to yourself, why did that player lose? It is likely because the good player in this scenario wasn't taking the match very seriously and didn't have a winning mindset, while the not as good player only wanted to win the match. Now, the reason that this would almost never happen to high-level competitors is that while playing serious matches, they almost always have the right mentality. Now I'll explain what your mindset should be going into any serious competition. The first thing I will say is this: never ever go into a match expecting to lose. If that is really what you are thinking going into a match, you might as well not waste you or your opponent's time by competing. You should simply forfeit the match. The next very important thing I will say is never go into a match thinking that you have nothing to worry about or that you cannot lose. Basically, you should not consider any serious match as an auto-win for yourself. Be confident, but do not be arrogant. I'm sure that all of you listening have experienced a few upset losses. You likely were not taking your opponent very seriously, and then panicked when they started doing some damage. This probably sounds pretty easy, but you need to be thoroughly convinced that your opponent is a potential threat, but also that you can overcome what needs to be overcome. The most difficult thing about playing with the right mindset is that you have to stay consistent. Some tournaments go for several days. It is very easy to feel the effects of mental fatigue as tournaments drag on, but the top-level players always maintain their mentality even and especially late in tournaments. It is very easy to slip out of the winning mentality, but you need to be conscious of the consequences of doing so. Not taking your opponent seriously will lead to more and more upsets for yourself, and thinking you can't beat those who are labeled as better players means you will never truly advance. Don't ever give up on yourself in the middle of a tournament, and especially not in the middle of a match. If you find yourself down one stock when your opponent has 4 remaining, remember that comebacks do happen. Stay in the match and play to win. If you are playing on the other side of the spectrum, up 4 stock to their 1, you should not relax at this point and change your strategies. As I said above, comebacks do happen. You must remain in the winning mentality and finish the match strong. This is something that I myself still struggle with, but I find it is one of the most important factors of any competition. I hope that at least some of you will take this advice, bring it to competitions, and see some real improvements.